Many times what we're asking for, it is not what we're supposed to have.
Right? Sometimes it's the worst thing for you.
Exactly.
You want to be with this guy or whatever it is, and you don't realize, like,
Exactly. So
it's not right.
you drive to certain destination and you find yourself driving kind of on autopilot and you just missed the turn. The navigation system would reroute and would guide you to the next turn to get to your destination. The universal divine navigation system works with us every day. And many times this navigation system will not allow you to get what you want because it will never fulfill you.
You guys, I'm so excited because to me, the only impressive thing in the world is wisdom. Like, I'm not impressed about cars, clothes, but wisdom. And what's the highest form of wisdom? Love, right? Like when someone has a big heart, you can feel it. So today, the person who is my guest is both so wise and so loving. And I met Yehuda at the Kabbalah Centre. After studying Kabbalah since 2001, I went and I was so blown away by the way he so masterfully teaches. He's so kind and so humble. And I'm so happy you're here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Cathy. I'm excited being here.
You have such a light and you are like a lamplighter. You have such a light, but then you light everybody's light.
I think we all do in our own ways.
I think we all have the vessel too, but I don't know if everybody's tapped in. So let's start there, okay? So what does it mean that we all can be a vessel?
When we speak about a vessel, we speak about spiritual vessel. In Kabbalah, we're calling it the light force of the Creator. Being a vessel, it is in many of the writings of the Zohar would relate the vessel to the moon. It's clear that the moon doesn't truly have the light of itself. It receives the light from the sun and reflects that energy out. And being a vessel in a spiritual level, it is not just being a recipient, it's not just being a receiver, it's not just getting what I desire and what I want. There is an intention that needs to be activated internally inside of us, like the moon, that the light that we desire to receive, it is for the sake of revealing it to other people, not just for ourselves.
Okay, so first of all, that is so beautiful. So we're about to enter the month of Nisan, which is Aries. We're talking about, and I was writing something about the first commandment that the Israelites ever got was about the moon and how significant it is because the moon doesn't have light of its own. So of course, the first thing you're saying so much more perfectly than I could ever have said it. It was gorgeous. What I want you to maybe help connect the dots with is so often when I remind people that they are connected to the divine, their eyes well up. And how can we, when the mind is so convincing that we feel so alone, we feel like we have to do something impressive every day, or we're not worthy, or we're not enough. How do you help people understand that their soul is connected and that they can access it?
It is truly a process and not one answer. Especially in our times, we operate in a state of the need for being clear on direction, on answers, and we want them in a quick way, in a simple way, with no time. And it requires some, I call it spiritual patience and deep desire just to become more awakened internally, to know that if we are willing to walk the path, we will find it. Kabbalah in Hebrew means receiving. How do I become the ultimate receiver of that infinite good, infinite light? What is the purpose of having wisdom? What is the purpose of having more information? How wisdom can support me transforming? The wisdom is already inside. where the light is already inside, where the answer is already inside. Even when we talk about abundance, it's already inside. If I'm not capable to tap into that internally, doesn't matter what will happen externally.
So
We are not here to be educators. We're here just to help people to remember.
that is so beautiful. It's so moving. It chokes me up. I told you this story, and you were so kind and humble. You're like, oh my gosh, I love Rabbi Aaron. That's amazing. When I was 20, I met him, and then I went to Jerusalem, and he said something to me that was like updating the software browser on my whole system. And he said, you're a masterpiece. You're a piece of the master.
Yes.
And my whole life, nobody told me that. And in my house growing up, there was no language around the creator, God, consciousness. It wasn't there. And then there I was, like, seeking an answer. And he said, and it's right inside of you. It's the last place you thought to look. It's right there. You're someone. You're some of the one. And what I find so unbelievably powerful is that at any moment you can pick up the phone. God's there, like right there. And what we're all deeply seeking is what is seeking us, like within us. Right. And it's so crazy the amount of time we spend distracted from, as if we're going to build these things outside of us that give us 1 ounce of the fulfillment that we get when we tune in to what's wanting to be revealed from within us. I want to ask you, though, the Satan, the dark side, it's so insistent every day. It comes to you with, like, it's trying so hard to litigate against you. And until I really learn, like, that's its job, I just feel like, what the heck? Does everyone else have this? Like, my mind comes to me 5 seconds after I wake up. Here's where you're failing. This is what's not good. This is what makes you feel lonely. It's like enough already, right? Can you help people understand what is that? And how do we steer the ship back to being connected to our right path, as opposed to what normally happens, where we get taken down by these thoughts, and 2 hours into our day, we're like, why even bother? We just feel zapped of energy.
So there are many angles we can go with this powerful question. Before even fighting what we call the side of the force that tries to distract us, the way we think continues affecting the way we feel, moving into the way we communicate with ourselves, with other people, and then moving into actions. Every moment, every person, every situation is perfectly designed to elevate me. Now, when we begin with the activation of awareness, of certainty, and then we're looking in all the ways that there is a force that tries to distract us, how would I look into that force? I had a conversation today with one of our students, and he described, in his words, a problem that he's facing with his business. I stopped him, and I told him, before even you continue, let's just do rewiring in the way that you look at it, because this is not just expression of words. When you're telling me there is a problem in the business, it's not just the way you express yourself, it's the way you think. So let's call it, there is a challenge. And I asked him, so what is the difference between a challenge and a problem?
Right.
So then the situations that we face in our life as humans, they become a challenge to challenge me every day to become better. And then I will begin to think, so what is the opportunity here?
Yeah.
If you love this podcast, you should try out my membership. If you listen to this podcast and you always feel lit up, or it puts you in a different state of mind and you feel inspired, I would love you to come join our community, because inside the community, we're doing weekly opportunities for Q&As. Inside our Inner Circle membership, you get to be coached by me. You're going to be with me on Zoom. I put people in hot seats, and the breakthroughs are hard to put into words. The conversation that's happening every day inside this community is so divine. The synchronicities, the way everyone is celebrating each other, the way everyone feels in there It's like being in an alternate universe, and the manifestations are incredible. I would love for you to join us. Try it for a month, try it for 2 months. If there's something about this podcast that keeps you feeling inspired and invigorated and reminds you of what's possible and taps you into that place that you start to see the dots connecting, you should join this membership. You're going to say, where have we been my whole life? Just go to app.cathyheller.com. That's app.cathyheller.com. Can't wait to see you inside.
I saw someone say recently that when God wants to make David, he sends Goliath.
Exactly.
I was talking to my daughter earlier today, and she said, when you had me, did it really hurt? And I said, yes, I was in pain, but I wasn't suffering. And I said, there's a difference between suffering and pain. When I had you, I was in pain, but it had a purpose. So I wasn't sad. And it's not that it doesn't hurt, but it's what the pain actually reveals in you in that moment. So we're going into the most, I mean, every month I feel like I say, every single month I feel like I'm like, this is the most amazing month because there's just always such
Which is true.
I know, there's always like the most beautiful teacher. I'm like, this is my favorite. This is my, we finished Purim. I was like, oh my God, Adar is amazing. Now we're going into Aries, which is Nisan. And I would love you to talk about it since we're all sharing time, right? We're all in the same consciousness, right? We can leverage the same consciousness right now that's activated in the way the planets are arranged. This idea that during Aries, during Nisan, we go through the Exodus, right? Passover, we go through this moment of going from slavery into freedom and the sea splits and all of that. How does that relate to the average person's life? What does the average person need to know about how they can tap into the consciousness of miracles? And what about Egypt and what about freedom is relatable to every regular person?
Right. The big question is, what is it that we would like to free ourselves from? What are the things that still enslaving us in some way? Our soul is limitless. Any experience that we have as humans, while our soul operates within this frame of body and physicality, that brings that belief that I'm limited, I'm not capable, I cannot achieve certain things. If I would have more resources, I would be able to make it. As long as our mind is in a state of dependency, the Kabbalists would consider it as living in a prison, as a cage. This is what we call slavery. Our soul is coming from certain root that is free of all of those limitations that we experience here as in this human body physical experience. This time of Nisan, of the month of Aries, leading into Passover, as the Zohar explains, this is not a connection with something that happened 3,400 years ago. This is not the Haggadah that we read on the Seder. In the teachings of Rav Ashlag, the founder of the Kabbalah Centre, explained that once energy becomes revealed, it will always be there. Tuning into that portal that was opened already, yes, 3,400 years ago, but existed even before that, because everything Kabbalistically existed already at the time of creation. But the portal was open and was revealed to the collective at that time. Freedom from anything that is still makes my mind, my thoughts, my beliefs, my emotions dependent on external things. There is nothing outside that can truly control me.
So beautiful. I've never heard that before. This is probably like one of the main things that has changed my whole life is this word certainty. Because in the spiritual world, we talk about surrender, right? Letting go. But if you're supposed to surrender and not know, what does it mean that you're certain? And what I understand is, no, it's the certainty that no matter what's happening, it's all happening exactly as it's meant to, right? And when you have that, there's a level of happiness there that's a level of joy. It's not even the same kind of happiness people talk about. It's a soul level to have that kind of certainty. It changes your whole life. But I think part of the problem is people look at reality only at the 1%.
Each one of us should begin by recognizing a moment in our lives when the logic said one thing.
Yeah.
Examples of situations that after 5 years, for instance, they're looking back and they realize how the rejection that they got in certain job, for instance, or relationship actually turned into a major blessing.
Totally.
Our real job, it is to bend time. We don't want to wait 5 years and to look back and to realize, wow, that challenge actually built the way that I am today. I want to get to experience and to feel that at the moment. That's okay. To be reactive for that moment and to feel that kind of a scattered energy inside of me. But then I want to gather my energy back and to recenter myself and to go back into that point of the certainty, because real certainty cannot come from irrational and logical space. This is why one of the terms that my teacher, Michael Berg, would use very often, based on the teachings of Rav Ashlag, it is certainty beyond logic. Any certainty that I'm still searching for that is based on logic, I'm not saying it's good or bad. It will be limited. And it will be another phase to support me in developing myself into a higher space level of consciousness of certainty that is not based on logic and rational mind. What are you asking for? If this truly meant to be for me, if it is part of the blessing that were designed for me, I want the Creator to help me to manifest that.
Yeah.
And if it's not, I want to know it right away.
Yeah.
I want the rejection. So rejection is not becoming something painful that I'm praying to the Creator not to get. I'm praying the Creator to show me clear rejection for anything that is not in true alignment with what my soul came to receive here.
It's huge. I mean, it's such a powerful way to shift our consciousness to just always be available for what's the highest and best. Your own doubt is blocking you from manifesting, let's say, what's the best thing for you. And I remember Rabbi Berg said at Rosh Hashanah that it's not like the universe makes you wait like a long customer service line, like 5 years in the future. It's here, it's only now. They might be resisting it, or there might be a way in which they're contracting their vessel. They're not allowing it in, and it's here already.
Because many times what we're asking for, it is not what we're supposed to have.
Right, sometimes it's the worst thing for you.
Exactly.
You want to be with this guy or whatever it is, and you don't realize, like,
Exactly. So
it's not right.
you drive to a certain destination and you find yourself driving kind of on autopilot and you just missed the turn. The navigation system would reroute and would guide you to the next turn to get to your destination. The universal divine navigation system works with us every day. And many times this navigation system will not allow you to get what you want because it will never fulfill you. There is nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anyone that's listening to this show. There is a journey. And this journey, there is energy of mercy that leading every step and phase and giving us another opportunity to differentiate between what is real and what is not real. It's coming from inside. It's coming from the soul.
Oh, it's so beautiful. That made me tear up. Just the notion of how much mercy, how much rachamim, how much compassion the divine is giving us, how many chances, and also just to think of ourselves with so much more love and acceptance, and that it's a journey as opposed to seeing ourselves as broken. It's just we're on this journey that we chose to go on. Well, I wanted to ask you about this because my marriage ended. I got my get in October, and we're still friends.
I should say mazal tov.
I know, we're still friends, all this. But he and I met actually at a shiur. We met at a class. He's a deep soul, kind, good person. For years, I had this intuition like the marriage was over. Recently, a friend said to me, soul contracts have an expiration date, and it's actually a positive thing when the two of you together completed. It's like you did exactly what needed to be done. We feel shame, we feel guilt, we feel fear, and then my friend says to me, what do you mean? There's something so beautiful about two souls that showed up exactly when they needed to help each other as they needed to. And now here you are. And I don't know anything about this really. So I'm just curious, like, how do you make sense of it? And how do you stay true and righteous and good and take the next best steps, right? What should we know maybe about that?
So maybe a few things. First of all, the Torah and the sages, right? The sages giving us the wisdom from the Torah about what we call mitzvot. Mitzvot literally being translated to precepts. There are 613 mitzvot, precepts. One of the important things that the Zohar talks about, that the idea of mitzvah, which unfortunately I'm saying, being translated into precept.
I don't even think people know that word. I think they think of it as like commandments. Like there's more, not just 10, there's like 613 commandments, but commandment is the wrong word, is what you're saying. It's a very heavy word. It's not really what it means.
It's interesting because what the book of the Zohar, which is the source of the wisdom of Kabbalah, says, en mitzvah ela avodah zarah, meaning that the moment that I view that as a command, consider it to be idol worshipping. Meaning, behind the 613, as the Zohar called them, advices, not commands, but it being translated to a command, but the advices, one of them is getting married, another one is getting divorced.
But not everyone's supposed to get divorced.
Right. So the question that the Kabbalists ask, how can you fulfill this kind of a connection of this advice of getting, why everyone should get divorced? No, not everyone should get divorced. Absolutely not. When we're looking into that, there is an interesting section in the writings of Rabbi Zekluria, the Ari, from Tzfat, from the city of Tzfat, from the 16th century, one of the most important Kabbalists in all times. His student was Rabbi Chaim Vital, and the Ari spent only 38 years in this physical dimension. He elevated in the age of 38. And the light that he revealed in those 38 years is beyond anything that I believe most of us can even comprehend. Every person, when it comes to marriage, back into certainty, is the exact perfect individual in our life to help us elevate to a higher state. There is a sense that I felt from what you shared of pain, but that is coming from the soul level, and at the same time, sense of completion. There is a phase that was completed in your journey, and I believe in his journey. Both of you came into this decision, and you're still friends.
Oh yeah. Love, so much. That is so important for me personally. I'm sure there are people who are feeling the same. Like, we live in a culture where these things are not necessarily talked about, and if they are, they're in a very divisive sort of clickbait kind of way. I don't think people really have ever heard something this elevated. The ultimate soulmate, there continues to be elevations, and you can do it together. Expansion and consciousness and growth.
It's not like what we see in the movies, right? One of the most important questions when it comes to the soulmate relationship is, this person makes me feel comfortable or makes me better?
Wow.
When we begin to look into how do I make my partner better, because I can see their potential. I can see how can they be amazing, more powerful lighthouse for themselves, for the world, and at the same time accepting them in the way where they are at the moment, without judgment being placed in that space. And this is what I'm asking for my soulmate, to look into me. I'm in a I call it process of development. I'm not in the perfected state of myself, so I have a lot of things that I need still to work on and to shift and to transform and to elevate. But someone that can see my next level as a human being, and pushing me into that space.
It's beautiful. It's huge, that question. Oh my gosh. Okay, last question is that we live in a time, you mentioned it before, with social media where people are constantly inundated with what's happening in the world, what's happening with their friends, what their mom ate for breakfast. I mean, you know everything, right? And yet there's this feeling everybody is so anxious because there's so much coming at us all the time. It's so easy to spend all day scrolling your phone and feeling weighed down or whatever it is. What is the actual way we bring peace within us, we bring light through us that will actually feel as though we can do something about it, right? That really moves the needle.
When a situation, a conversation, a message I received take me out of center,
Yeah.
injecting the awareness and consciousness into those moments, those little shifts creates major impact in the world outside. Rav Ashlag says that the biggest contribution we can ever give to the world, it is our own personal transformation. So one hand, it is, as you mentioned, looking internally inside of me, recognizing opportunities. Might be one opportunity in the day, it might be a moment that you drive your car and somebody is just calling you and takes you out of that calm state, and you inject consciousness into that space. It's not about fixing, it's not about being perfect, it's about consciousness. Something was taking me out of this center, out of this alignment, out of this place that I feel peace. And doing that internal work to bring myself in whatever way I can. Some people do breath work, some people would, do a meditation, some people would call a friend, some people would look at the sky. The requirement is not being perfect. It's not doing it in all the moments. Just moment of transformation from being out of that state of peace back into the state of peace. Internal, personal, individual transformation is the biggest contribution we can give to the change of the world.
Okay, so in summing up, if people want to keep learning with you and in your world and listening to your beautiful light, how do they follow along?
So I currently teach at the Kabbalah Centre in Los Angeles. We have online platform. I know that you have big audience out of beautiful Los Angeles. We're having online platforms, Kabbalah.com. They can find me and they can find amazing teachers from the Kabbalah Centre. I think this will be the best way to go about.
So sweet. Thank you for such a masterclass. It's so beautiful. I feel like it's just an appetizer because we could sit here and talk about life and the universe, and there's so much that you have to share. So it's like literally just like Bekitzur. It's a bite, but it was so beautiful, and I'm so grateful that you came.
Thank you for the work you're doing, Cathy, and the delight that you bring to so many people, and bridging between all the physical parts of this dimension into the soul level. I see the light and the amazing work you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Coming from you, it means so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope that you remember what Yehuda said about the moon. I hope that you'll take it with you, because the moon receives light from the sun and reflects it outward. That's what it means to be a vessel, not just receiving for ourselves, but revealing that light to other people. This week, I want you to pay attention to a conversation or to a moment that really allows you to bring yourself back to that sense of center and peace. The greatest contribution we can make is in being that vessel and changing the world. Also, I just want to remind you to try out our membership. I would love to see you in there. I'd love for you to have the opportunity to go deeper with everything that you hear on this podcast and have me be there for you and be your mentor and be your coach and bring you into our amazing community. And also inside the membership is the place where I am completely unfiltered, unhinged, and I share the behind the scenes of everything, and I spill the tea on what's going on in my life. It really is such an incredible community, and I would just love for you to come and be a part of it so I can get to know you better.
Just go to app.cathyheller.com. That's app.cathyheller.com. Can't wait to see you inside.
Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time.